This goes out to the know-it-alls who know nothing. There are so many Don Robinson is homeless, Don Robinson is broke videos coming up in my YouTube feed. I'm like, why are all of these videos coming up now? And they're getting lots and lots of views. And so that's probably why there is a litany of them that just keep coming up every week on YouTube. So what I really want to do with this video is kind of explore why Don really left En Vogue and why she is in the financial state that she is in. So let's get into it. This is all the lies Dawn told on En Vogue and why she's really broke.
They offered me a solo album as well, but my solo album came out 7 months after Terry's. They offered me a solo album as well after Terry's because they wanted to keep me under control. And when I started recording, I had about 3 songs that I had recorded. And by then, the record company came back and said, okay, Dawn, we're going to pull your album at this point, and we're going to get you back in the studio with the girls because we need that album. We're going in to we did Don't Let Go. And that was when we said, okay, you guys, enough. Like, we have been paid 2 pennies a record this whole time. So now we got to change this shit. And the girls agreed with me. And Maxine and I were the ones that kind of spearhead that whole movement. Like, we're going to stay out of the studio. We're not going to go in. We're not going to sing a lick. We're not going to sing one thing. We're not going to get in the studio at all and sing anything until they renegotiate our contract. Do we all agree? Cindy, Terry, Maxine, Dawn, everybody agrees? Yes, we all agree. About a month after that or so, I would say, Terry ended up in the studio. And that's when the record company came to me. Terry was getting ready to go on the road. Like I said, it was 7 months later and Terry was going on the road.
Okay, so now let's get into the lie. And this is going to have to be a series because there are just, so many lies that have to be entangled. So just with this first lie, we see that Dawn is saying that the record company approached her 7 months after Terry's album was released. That is a lie. Billboard magazine, which is a trade publication and really a Bible for the music industry, published an article in October of 1995, October 21st to be exact, and it's about Terry's solo album that's about to be released in November of 1995. However, the most interesting tidbit that relates to this topic is what it mentions about Don and what it mentions about En Vogue. The article reads, and I quote, according to the label, the next En Vogue album will not be completed until late 1996 or early 1997. Meanwhile, fellow En Vogue member Dawn Robinson is recording her solo album, which is scheduled to arrive in stores at the end of first quarter 1996.
They said, well, Dawn, do you want to do a solo album? And by then, I was like, Cindy and Maxine and I could not make a decision. My thing was, since Terry's in the studio, we either get the record company to give us money while she's sitting there, because you guys put her in the studio. Either give us some money to keep us quiet while Terry's doing her thing, or let us go. And we'll figure out something down the road. I don't know what. Like, I'm getting ready to lose my house. And then the record company came to me, and I allowed them. I agreed to doing a solo album. That was wrong. I started recording, so I had like 3 songs done. And then the record company came back to me and said, well, Dawn, we know you're in the studio recording. It's really cute that you're recording your solo album, but we're going to take you out of the studio right now. We're going to pull your project and we're going to go ahead and do an En Vogue album. And I was like, to hell you will.
Okay, so now we're getting into the meat of the situation, which is essentially that Dawn was not able to meet the release deadline for her record. If you recall the article, her album was supposed to be released at the end of the first quarter of 1996. So that will be sometime in March. Donna's pretending like the record company approached her so many months after Terry's album was released. However, as we can clearly see, she was pretty much in the studio at the same time as Terry. She had a release date that was going to be maybe about 5 months or so after Terry's. But she was in the studio while Terry was in the studio. She was in the studio when Southern Girl was released in November 14th, 1995 to be exact. So her issue was one of scheduling. And as she admits, she only had about 3 songs finished. So it's not even like she had a whole album that was pulled. She interfered with the release schedule of the group. And rather than just allowing for the group to be the priority, she made a huge stink about not being able to release a solo album, even though she was not able to release the record. She wasn't even able to finish the record because she said she only had 3 songs. She wasn't even able to finish the record within the time constraints that the record label gave to her, which she was well aware of. And furthermore, she was well aware of En Vogue's release schedule, as she kind of alluded to the group was renegotiating its contract. So there's no way she didn't know when the record label expected her to go back into the studio. And furthermore, whatever the expectations were, she would have had to sign off on that because, as was stated, the group was in renegotiations. What we have is someone with the emotional intelligence of a toddler throwing a tantrum. She does not understand that she's doing business. She's working with a record company. There are schedules, there are deadlines, there are expectations that an artist will finish within those deadlines. And when an artist exceeds that time frame, there are financial repercussions. And I would like to believe that she understands that. However, of course, she's lying, so she's not going to tell that to you. It just sounds more fanciful to make it seem as though another group member got preferential treatment and this big bad record label is just arbitrarily going after her for some reason that she doesn't truly understand. But she does understand. She knows that she only had 3 songs and she was supposed to have a whole album. The significance of the 7 months, that would be about May or so when the album was supposed to be due in March. It was supposed to be out in March. So I don't even know if she really had 3 songs in May, but regardless, she did not have a complete album to be released. And wait a minute, where's Don's book, by the
They
way?
agreed to letting me go as a solo artist. And then I went in the studio with the girls and we started recording the En Vogue album, which became EV3. Sylvia Rhone was really pissed off because I slighted her. I outsmarted her by telling her I want to go as a solo artist. So when she let me go, she's like, okay, I'm going to fix you, bitch. I want, I think it was 5 points off your first album, 5 points off your second album, 4 points off your third album. You're going to give me points on those albums. And I was like, fine with that. So when she said, well, I guess she was thinking that I was going to react in a negative way. And because I didn't, I was like, okay, fine. You think that you can hurt me? I'm okay with that. Take whatever you think that you deserve and you think that you're going to hurt me with, fine. And that's when she decided that I had to go.
And there you have it, folks. That's why Dawn is broke, because she has no business skills, she has no business sense, she has no business savvy. She goes from saying that she only took the solo deal because she was about to lose her home to then basically giving away money in the form of points to Sylvia Rhone, who she wouldn't even be signed to as a solo artist. And therein lies the hubris of Dawn Robinson. She thinks she's smarter than everyone. She's gone on record saying she knew more about the music business than Dr. Dre. She's smarter than Sylvia Rhone, who was an industry titan and a multimillionaire and still holds weight in the music industry. But let her fans tell it, Dawn is the Warren Buffett of En Vogue. She was a smart one, yet she led to the demise of her own career by just being very emotional and very unprofessional. She was not able to finish an album within the time frame that was given to her. And because of that, because the record company prioritized En Vogue, she had to throw a hissy fit and then get released from her solo rights. And then, of course, when Sylvia Rhone wanted to make sure that she would promote the album for 2 years, the EB3 album, she decided to leave the group. There are more lies. The lie about Sylvia Rhone wanting her out of the group, the lie about the renegotiations, but we'll have to save that for next time.